Hi folks, thanks very much for joining me. I had no fishing this week, so there's no vlog post, so I thought I would add an extra little fly tying video. I hope you enjoy it. So without further ado, let's get into it. In the vise then is a Hanak H treble 3 barbless hook. It's at size 10. It's a fine wire hook and it's on a black nickel colour. The thread I'm going to be using today is the uni thread. It's in 6/0 and as you can see it's yellow. First thing to do then is plenty of wax onto the thread. And keep your wax handy because it's going to come in handy for this one. Just rub your hands through, make sure the wax is nice and embedded in. And I'm going to catch in my thread just behind the eye and bring it back approximately 1/4 of an inch. Then I can remove my rat's tail. Now before I go on, I'm just going to add a little bit more wax to the thread. And I'm going to prepare my wing. So what I'm using for my wing is some coastal deer hair. This one's been dyed Picric. And I've already stacked that in my hair stacker to stop camera shake. Now, usually I would pick out, as I'm right-handed, I would pull it out this way, but I want to tie in my wing with the points going forward. So what I'm going to do is take it out like so. As you can see, that's stacked fairly neatly. And I'm going to grab it with my thumb and forefinger on my right hand. And I'm just going to remove all the loose ends that have come on. So I'm going to grab the ends with my thumb and forefinger on my left hand. And I'm going to measure up the length of my wing. And I want it to be roughly the size of the length of the shank. I'm going to bring my thread up to about 1/8 of an inch before the hook, and with a couple of loose turns, just not happy with some of the fibres are just dropping out there, so I'm just going to stop, get everything back in line, and then catch that in. Nice loose turn to start with, a couple of loose turns. And then as your confidence grows that it's sitting where it should, you can start to clamp down. Now at this point, keep a hold of your tail ends. It's really important that you don't let go, or you can end up creating a lot more work for yourself. I'm going to come in with my scissors and at an angle, I'm going to take away the bulk of that tail end. But I don't want to take away it all, because what I want to do is create a taper with the remaining ends here. So before I do anything else, again, more wax onto the thread, just helps pin down your deer hair. Don't be overly worried about little bits sticking out and stuff. We are going to dub this body, but once you're happy that you've got the bulk of it, tilt it back and just put 3 or 4 turns in front of the wing there. So I know it looks a little untidy at the minute, but I'm not overly worried about that. I'm going to come down to where my deer hair ends, and as you can see, I've already started to create a taper in the body there, which is good. Remove that little bit that's getting on my nerves. Okay, so I'm going to add a little tail, and it is little. I only want a stumpy tail out here, and I'm just going to use a little bit of Coq De Leon that I've got here, and you want about a half a dozen fibres from the stalk. Now lengthwise, no more than 2/8 of an inch. So I'm going to catch that just in like so, bring it down another few bits, and yeah, I'm fairly happy with that. Maybe one more turn. I'm going to loop my thread around the shank just to get that splayed out, and then what I can do is come in with my scissors and just remove my excess tailing fibres. Okay, the body then is going to be dubbed. Now at this point you can add a rib if you wish. I don't think it's necessary, so I'm not going to bother. I'm going to bring my thread to the base of the fly, and what I'm using some of this stuff, it's called it's from Fly Right Ink. Now it's a very old company and I'm not sure it's still going, and it's number 32 Rusty Olive. Now what I love about this, and I don't know how well you'll see on the camera there through the packet, is if I reach in and grab just the very ends of a strand and pull it, it comes out in a straight line like that, and just makes it so easy to dub on. You can get really thin bodies without too much effort. Now I don't want it too thick, because I want my yellow thread that I've chosen to use here to kind of come through once the dubbing's wet. Now yellow in the water does come up quite olivey anyway. So I've got that on now, and I am just going to bring my dubbed thread up the length of the body. Haven't quite got enough there, so I'm going to add another little bit of the dubbing on. And that's just working out grand. Okay, so this little emerging pattern, I'm going to tie it double-decker style now. Double-deckers become very popular on the stillwater scene, but it was stolen from the river anglers. And basically what the style requires is that you split the hair wing in the middle. So what I like to do, and that's why this looks so big, this wing, it's because I'm going to split it. So I've got another clump of dubbing on there, probably a little bit too much, but I can always take that away. So what I want to do now is, with my scissors, I'm just going to come right through the middle of the wing and split it virtually in half. Then with my dubbed thread, I'm going to just get 2 or 3 turns in there, and then I'm going to lift up the remainder and come in front. And that's looking pretty good. So there isn't a pronounced split, but the split is in there. So next I'm going to just take away that excess dubbing, which is proving quite difficult. I'll snip that. So I've got that all looking dandy. And to finish off, I'm going to use a medium done Hackle feather, which I've already picked out, which I've got here, that will give the impression of legs once it's done. So what I've done is selected a feather, and I'm going to just strip the stem away, so I've got something to work with here. Again, before I tie this in, get a little bit of wax on my thread. Come in with my Hackle pliers, and what I want to do is get a minimum of 2 turns. So there's 1, 2, Try not to catch any of the fibres from your deer here. And then on the third turn, you can catch your hackle in with your thread. Remove your hackle pliers, slick everything back, and then with your tail end you can just ping that away. And to finish off, as ever, a little bit of resin onto the thread, just enough to secure it. Then you can come in with your whip finish tool and finish off. Just going to take my thread away, and then I can cure that away. Now, I'm not quite finished, so if you follow my videos you'll know when I tie dry flies, a lot of the time I like to add a little bit of mucilin, dry silicone, and what this does is it just helps when I get to the river or the still water, whatever the case may be, and I take a fly out of my box, I know that it's going to float like a cork because I've pre-treated it before I put it away. So just a muckabout pattern, really combining a couple of techniques, the double decker technique, hackling at the front to create this little emerger pattern. Now if you were of a mind to, you could add a small orange sighter in at the front, but I've tied this with fishing it very close to me in mind. I hope you got something out of that. If you're enjoying what I'm doing, please don't forget to click the subscribe button, and I'll see you all next time.